Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Spotlight series. I'm joined today by the amazing Emma Veiga-Malta from Bespoke Backdrops. Hi, Emma.
Hi, Tash. How you doing?
Hi, I'm amazing. I'm so excited to have you on the Spotlight series. And today we're going to talk about the visuals in your business. But before we do you want to tell everyone a little bit about your business?
Yep, I'm Emma. I'm the designer at Bespoke Backdrops. And if you're active in a heart-centered group, you'd see me in there as well. And I am an artist and a designer, and my current business, I design backdrops for your videos and I do branding as well. So I'm all about visuals. And I have actually been all about visuals all my creative life, basically. And now it's just all being condensed into this beautiful business.
Yeah, and this is an Emma. This is one of hers, and obviously you've got one behind you as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And so what I'd love to talk to you about today, Emma, is that like visuals in your business, because, I think we can, particularly when people are starting up, they get in, we do some DIY things in Canva. There's also a lot of people who go crazy for logos and design and all this kind of stuff before they've even really taken off. So, what's your take on business visuals and how important they are?
Well, I think business visuals should go hand to hand with business strategy. It's not sort of a tag on or a nice to have. I think that you should always consider your visuals, even if you're at startup mode. And in startup mode, of course, it's going to be DIY. Of course, it's going to be trying to find your feet, just like you're trying to find your voice with your content and your messaging and your client base. You'll also be finding your feet with your visuals. But I think you should be thinking about it from the start. And then, of course, as you grow in your business and you evolve in your business, then, of course, your visuals evolve with you, but you've got that framework and that idea already sort of simmering away in the background.
Yeah. So when someone really is nailing their visuals, what does that look like?
It looks like it's consistent. So no matter where you discover them for the first time, whether it's a YouTube channel or on a Facebook post, they look and feel the same. So when you get the same feels from somebody or a business, that's when you know they've got their visuals right. They've obviously got their content right as well and their messaging right, but the whole thing sort of comes together with their visuals. And so when you can recognize someone in different touch points, that's when you know someone's really nailed their visuals and got it consistent.
I love that. And I think the thing that I love about that is it doesn't mean that you have to have certain things. It's just that sense of consistency. So when you're in startup, that sense of consistency might be that you take a heap of selfies all in one space and you're consistently using those images as part of your visuals. Or it might be that you choose a color and notice I said color, just one.
Just one, don't get crazy.
A color, and just roll with that for a while and just have that one color. So what does it look like when people get it wrong?
Oh, you can tell they're trying to reinvent the wheel every single time they put up a Facebook post. Their fonts are all different. So they might have 3 or 4 fonts, which is just overkill. They might have lots of different colors that just keep popping up with different colors wherever you find them online. They just have different colors all the time. So it looks quite messy, and it really does look like they're trying to start again from scratch with every post, with every visual out there. And that's not just exhausting for us as the viewers because we don't recognize you. It must be really exhausting for the business person to constantly be going on Canva or wherever they do their visuals and go, right, what am I going to design today? That sort of structure, it's really a bit messy and scrappy, and you can really tell that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would even say, when someone's in DIY mode, the simpler they make their visuals, the better it actually looks. I think, I would never have been brave enough when I first started my business to do the spots thing and knowing what my pink was and, that contrasting color. I needed a designer's eye to help me actually navigate that. So when I first started my business, I actually had my logo made, which is up there, and I knew my color. That was the 2 things that I knew my green, and I knew my I had my logo that I got a friend to do, and I knew I wanted it to be a circle. So there wasn't much space she had.
It works because it's really simple. A lot of people, when they start off doing their own logos or getting a friend to do it, it gets really complicated and it can get a little bit too literal. And you can see that it was done by an amateur, whereas yours, I don't know if your friend was a professional or not, but it's so simple.
Yeah.
It's very hard to go wrong at that stage.
Yeah. It was, and I think it was partly like she has a great design eye. She wasn't a professional, but she was a student, but she has a great design eye. But at the same time, I was really clear, keep it as one color, simple as possible. That's all I want. This is just my starting point. And I only had a budget, I think I paid $100. I had a budget of $100. So I was like, I just want the simplest logo with this color and I want a circle. So, I think that also really was a great coincidence, and it kind of helped me out. Yeah. And that became really easy. So when I was making my own visuals, I just use that color. I also used like a charcoaly color as a neutral color because I didn't want black everywhere.
No, black's heavy.
Yeah, so I used that, charcoal and white, and that was it. I didn't allow myself any width or breadth to go into different color palettes or anything like that, and it really did hold me in good stead for quite a few months in my business. I didn't need anything else because I was able to be, and my face, my photos, I got a heap of photos taken. And
photos are really key. But you're quite unusual in that sense because you've got a strategic brain, but you also clearly have a bit of a visual brain going on there as well, because I find a lot of people, they only talk about strategy and content, and then they forget that has to work visually, because we are predominantly visual creatures.
Yeah.
So it's quite good that you actually sort of understood that early on.
Yeah.
Even the simplistic form, it needs.
Interesting. I feel like I'm getting a star.
Gold star for you, Tash. Well done.
Yes. Okay, so as I was brushing my hair today, I was thinking, there comes a time in an entrepreneur's life when she really needs a backdrop from Emma. And I really do believe that, because there's so much more to your backdrop process than just tell me what you want and I'll make it for you in a backdrop. Yes. So what do you think is that tipping point when it's time to really go into that more mature look or that more professional look, or work with a professional designer?
I think you have to know your market, your client. You have to know your message. I mean, all these things evolve. So it's not like you have to know it and it's going to stay that way forever. You have to be kind of clear on who your market is, your messaging. You have to be comfortable in the skin of your business. And then I can really work with you for a backdrop. I do have clients that come to me and they're starting out, and they will come and get a pre-designed backdrop from me. Right, yeah. They understand the benefits of having a backdrop from a practical point of view, like it hides your kitchen, like, ta-da, I'm in my kitchen. So people will get a pre-designed backdrop when they're starting out, because they've got a general feel of what their business is, but they don't want to commit to a custom backdrop. So, and generally the clients that commit to a custom backdrop have been in business for a little while, and they're really confident to sort of upgrade to the next level. And they're often doing with other things across their business as well.
Absolutely. And actually, that's really interesting that you say that, because if I had got a custom backdrop when I first started my business, I was working with artists, I thought, and I just pretty much, like, anything that I saw online that I liked visually, I would have just copied it. Like, I would just be like, oh, bricks. Bricks was so big in 2013. Everybody had bricks, right? I was like, oh, I could have teal bricks, that would be exactly where I would have gone. And so I'm actually quite glad that I waited in terms of the backdrop part. But the thing that I loved about working with you for the backdrop was you drew this out of me, right? Yeah. Like, I did not know that, vintage posters, and I didn't even have spots before in my world before Emma. So, I think it's really wonderful when you do get to that stage that someone with great experience can draw out of you a visual experience from what you're describing as a feeling, or, you turn something like a feeling or an idea into something that's very visually dynamic, but it's in a way that actually is easy on the eye as well, which is, you know, the difficult part for someone who's not a designer.
A lot of people do come to me and they think they need to have a design in their head.
Mm.
Because this is another thing that across the design world in general, people get wrong, which is no one's fault except probably the designer's not explaining it. You actually don't need to come to any designer, myself, anyone with a fully formed idea. In fact, it's a good idea if you don't, if you let go of the outcome.
Mm.
The designer, like myself, is trained. I've had 20 years in creating artwork and design work for a whole range of clients. So it's a good idea that you come with maybe an idea of who your client is and the feels and the looks and things like that. But let go of the outcome, because the designer, like myself, will be able to draw out of you stuff that you didn't even know was in your head, that you didn't even know you liked, that you didn't even know was possible. It's like there's so many unknown unknowns. Whereas, for example, me, I've got a history in history of art. I know a lot about history of art and eras, and I surround myself with so many diverse visuals in my life that I can kind of hear what someone's saying and go, oh yeah, you're talking about something that looks Art Deco, or oh my goodness, yes, you're thinking of maybe Miami, you know, beach Miami. So I can really feel that, and that's what a good designer will do. So you don't need to come to them with a fully formed idea.
Yeah, beautiful.
Trust them that they know what they're doing, and they might surprise you and come up with something you go, like you did, like, oh my goodness, I'd never thought of spots. I never thought of, you know, this kind of look.
Yeah, this travel look, you know, this old world travel. And I just talked about like my obsession with the French Riviera, and yeah, we have that in common.
Yes.
And yeah, it was absolutely gorgeous. So, okay, so if someone's listening along and they're like, right, well, I'm here and I really want to start to give my visuals a bit more punch, or I want my visuals to really be more consistent, what are some things that they can do to get that more consistent or that more instant presence with their visuals?
Right. The first thing they need to do is to sit down and ask themselves a few questions. And the first question I always ask my clients, so this is the process I go through with my clients when they have a consultation with me, is how do you want your clients to feel? Because a brand really should sort of connect emotionally. It should evoke something emotional. So let's start with the feels. How do you want people to feel when they work with you? And how do you want people to feel when they look at your business? Do you want to come across as really professional and polished, or do you want to come across as really friendly or whimsical? You know, get those sort of written down. How do you want people to feel when they work with you? And then I would definitely look at something which I call aspiration. And I think aspiration is a really important thing in design. It's not that you want to copy someone or you want to be someone that you're not. It's a good idea to look at who inspires you, and because obviously there's some resonance there, and see if that kind of thing might sort of resonate with your clients. So look within your own industry and see what sort of imagery and colors and things happen within your own industry that your clients are expecting to see. But then the next thing you do is that you look outside of your industry. So yes, you might be in alternative therapies. So you might be looking within that world for visuals, for cues, for the sort of thing that works really well. But then you might go and look, for example, in the art world and go, my goodness, I really love Monet. Mm-hmm. Or I really love this style of interior design. And then you bring that into it. So you actually mesh it together. So you're not doing a copycat cookie cutter of someone else's branding. You're bringing something new to the table, and looking at a different industry is a great way to do that. And I think that's a good thing to do in business anyway.
Yeah, that's cool.
Outside of your comfort zone and be inspired and bring that back in to your own business. You can do that with your visuals as well. Yeah,
beautiful. And something that I loved that I've done before is just go on to Pinterest, start a board called Brand Inspo, and then just go and start pinning things. And just trust your gut. Like that was the great thing that I loved about when I first did it. I just was like, well, it doesn't match the other things, but I'm going to pin it anyway. And once I saw it as a full picture, it actually, this color popped out. Like that teal color was really present everywhere in ocean pictures that I had picked and landscape pictures that I'd picked and shopping pictures. Yeah.
And that's what you've hit on another thing. After I do my consultation, I go through lots of different questions with my clients. I say to them, do you have a Pinterest board you can share with me? But that's also very good for me to get a visual onto what's inside your head. So the thing with doing a Pinterest board, once you've answered your questions about, you know, how you want people to feel, what inspires you, what things you like and don't like, what your clients would aspire to, all that kind of thing, then you go onto Pinterest. And what's really important is to just be really free and pin anything. To a certain extent, obviously, look at what your answers were to your questions, but then don't edit yourself yet. Just pin whatever resonates with you and put it on that board. And like you said, you know, you'll step back from it after a while and go, oh my goodness, there's a theme running through, or I get this kind of idea and I keep pinning something similar. And then after you've done this very broad range pinning, then it's time to get disciplined and time to start curating and really hone in and letting go of stuff that actually doesn't work, and really honing in on those 2 or 3 items or colors that really sort of pops up a lot, that really resonate with you. And those are the ones that you go with, whether it's a color or an image or a photography style. Those are the ones you go with to start building your brand around. And that's
gorgeous. Yeah, I love that. So if someone's done that, so they've got a bit of an idea, maybe they've got their color and they've got an idea of their logo, or maybe they've gone and worked with a designer and they've got a couple of things. How can we ensure that we're using that visual presence effectively in our businesses?
Okay, so again, you've got to be organized. People think that being creative is being disorganized and chaotic. I think you can be most creative when you're organized. So I would definitely have a file set up called visual templates. And you've got your colors, you've got your, so choose 2 or 3 colors. You can go beyond 1, but no more than 3. 1 or 2 fonts, maybe a sort of a very straight modern font that's very easy to read, and maybe 1 cursive as an example.
Yep.
Then you create templates for yourself. So using those colors and that style, you create a Facebook template with a transparent background. And that way you can, or a white background, you always have that template for your Facebook post. So whenever you've got a quote or something you want to put up there, or an offer, you use that template each and every time. So you're not going into Canva or wherever you're going and thinking, gosh, what is it going to look like? You've got that template there. So create a folder with templates for Instagram and Facebook, and maybe a PDF for your worksheets that you printables, that kind of stuff. So every time you've got a great idea or you're producing content, you can just whip those templates out and you can put your content on it, and it's much quicker, it's a lot less stressful, and it helps you stay really consistent.
Beautiful. And we know how I feel about selfies, right? We know how I feel about using your face in your business.
Yes.
What's your take on face versus visuals versus, you know, all of that kind of stuff? How do you put it all together?
Well, I think face is really important, especially most of us work, even if we have a course, we work pretty one-on-one with clients. You know, we're pretty the face of our business, basically. So do use your face. But this touches on a point that I feel really quite passionate about, and it's authenticity versus professionalism. So we all have our face, and it's always going to be the authentic version of ourselves. But my authentic version of me, just getting up in the morning in my pajamas, is not the type of authenticity I want to be showing my clients in my business. So yes, use your selfies, get on your videos, be your authentic self, but be the best version of yourself in that case. Do you really want to be showing up in your pajamas? Maybe that is your target market, maybe that is, but I'm saying in general, be the best version of yourself, and be the professional best version of yourself. And that doesn't mean being suited and booted and highly polished. It just means you know, showing the best version of yourself in your selfies, in your videos, but still being you. You don't have to be somebody else. No.
And I have and I always say, like, the pajama shop is the exception, not the rule. And it could be, and its role is the connection and I'm a real person. It's not I'm turning up to teach you something in my pajamas kind of thing. There's a different space for it. But the other thing I love is actually I have a work wardrobe. Now, it can get a little boring, but I have 2 jackets, I have 5 tops, and I have about 20 scarves and 20 necklaces, and track pants maybe on the bottom today. But
we won't tell anyone.
No one will ever know. But that is like my work wardrobe, and I know that it's my stuff. I love wearing them. I feel great in them. And when I show up consistently in them, it's part of my visual, is that I'm turning up in that way. Now, sometimes it might be, you know, in my hair in a messy bun and no makeup. And sometimes it might be full face of makeup as it is today. But that's also part of my consistency, is showing up in this smart, casual, smartish, businessy, you know, not always a jacket, but smart, casual-ish kind of clothes. And that's part of my brand as well.
I'm the same. If you're watching the video, I'm wearing my blue. I also have certain clothes that I will wear when doing certain types of videos. And like you said, it's not that you have to be dogged about this. It's not a straight jacket. It's a framework. So if you're going to do a really casual video or a selfie like we do, yes, you may see me in my pajamas, or you may see me, you know, on the beach looking bedraggled, but that's very specific to the message I am bringing, or whatever I'm doing on that day. But if I'm going to be teaching something, or if I'm going to be asking someone for money, if I am there in my professional capacity and someone's going to pay me money and I'm asking, you know, for the sale, as it were, I feel I have to show a little bit of respect to my client. And for me, respect is showing up as the best version of myself. And Tom Ford, who is a fashion designer who designs for Gucci, or did design for Gucci, I love his quote when he says, "Good dressing is good manners." And I think that's in business in general. Showing up as the best version of yourself in appropriate moments is just good manners.
Yeah. I love that. That's so awesome. I'm glad we got to have this conversation. This is really cool. So Emma, do you have like a freebie or something to offer up for our ladies who are watching or listening along today?
I do. In fact, I have a 2-page PDF, fully branded, that is how to DIY your brand. And it goes through about 10 questions that I ask my clients. And then I go through this another stage of how to curate your Pinterest board, and then filters down to what to do with the fonts and the colors you've chosen. And I talk about consistency. So you can actually take that 2-page PDF and sort of start DIYing your brand yourself. And even if you don't actually come up with a brand yourself, just answering those questions gives you some really great insights into your own business.
Yeah.
In your business. So it's good for clarity.
Yeah. And I would say also, if you identify areas where you can't actually answer the questions, it might be a space to focus on in getting that clear for your business as well. So that is such a sexy freebie. I didn't know you had that as a freebie. How did I not know that? Oh.
It comes out from time to time. It's come
beautiful.
Out again now. Yes.
Awesome. Well, if you would like to grab that freebie, you can find it with the show notes of today's episode, or you can go to tashcorbin.com/freebies, FREEBIES, and you'll see Emma's beautiful on-brand face right there. Click on it and it will take you to the link to sign up for Emma's fabulous PDF. Well, thank you so much for being here on the Spotlight series today, Emma.
Pleasure. Thank you for asking me, and I'm delighted.
I have one last question I like to spring on people, and that is, if I was to quote you on this subject, what would you want me to say?
Consistency is everything.
Beautiful. Yay. I've been saying for the last few weeks, like everywhere, the only silver bullet for business growth is consistency. And then every person that I've spoken to has used the C word, like in some way, shape or form. It is so true.
It's so important. And that's why I think business strategy with business visuals should be linked together, because that's when you get the consistency across everything.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And they can change and grow. Like my first photo shoot, I was wearing a proper suit and, you know, all dressed up. So I still love the photos, but it probably doesn't really fit my brand as much these days. But it's evolving. And so I can still use some of those, and I can still use some of the new stuff and still use some of the casual stuff. And, you know, every time I take my backdrop with me everywhere. So every time I stay in a hotel that has an interesting chair or an interesting couch, I just whip out the computer and take a heap of photos, and that becomes part of my visual branding and the consistency of my business. But it's just like in a new, different space. And, you know, I think it doesn't have to be hard or perfect, and you don't have to have thousands of dollars on this and thousands of dollars on that. But some simple little decisions to be more consistent can be really, really powerful in your business. So I think that's a perfect quote. Yeah.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's consistent, but it also evolves. So it's not a straight jacket. It's just a framework.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you so much once again. Until next time, everyone, we cannot wait to see you shine and beautifully with your visuals. Thank you so much for joining me for the Spotlight series. Bye for now.